This is Every Country in the World Part 2. Picking up where we left off, starting with Iran. Currently ranks as the 18th largest country in the world, and it also ranks as the second in the world's natural gas reserves. Iran's longest shared border is with Iraq. The Silk Road ran through a lot of places, including Baghdad, the capital of Iraq. There are more Irish people outside of Ireland than inside. Ireland also has the world's second largest consumption of tea per capita. Israel is roughly half of the size of Lake Michigan. At the time of this recording, the capital city of Israel, Tel Aviv, is currently ranked 6th most expensive city in the world. Italy's longest border is with Switzerland. Italians don't refer to their country as Italy, but Italia. Jamaica has one of the highest numbers of rum bars per square mile. It's also the only English-speaking island in the Caribbean, although in the past it was indeed a Spanish-speaking country. Coffee is so popular in Japan that Japan imports approximately 80% of Jamaica's annual coffee production. Around 24 billion pairs of chopsticks are used in Japan each year. Jordan is home to the lowest point on Earth, about 420 meters below sea level in the Dead Sea. There's also a 647-kilometer trail in Jordan, appropriately called the Jordan Trail, where you can walk the country on foot in an estimated 40 days. Despite not having access to the ocean, Kazakhstan does indeed have a navy. In Kazakhstan, there are two main spoken languages, Kazakh and Russian. In Kenya, cars are driven on the left-hand side of the road, similar to the UK. And speaking of the United Kingdom, Kenya gained independence from the country in 1963. Kiribati is an island nation in Oceania. The country is actually pronounced Kiribati, as the locals pronounce the T as an S. North Korea, yes, technically North starts with N, but we'll classify both of the Koreas under K. So, in North Korea, internet access is not common amongst most of the population. In fact, those that do have access are only allowed to visit a limited number of government-controlled websites. Both men and women in the country are also limited in choosing from 15 government-approved haircuts. Around 20% of the South Korean population have the family name of Kim. Be careful when writing in red ink in South Korea, especially your name, because it's considered to be a signal of death. Kosovo is a partially recognized state in the southeast of Europe. It lies at the center of the Balkans. We're mentioning it now because, although it isn't recognized by all countries, why not? Arabic is most widely spoken in Kuwait. Culturally, if a man has a gift for a woman, it can't come from him, but it must come from his wife, sister, mother, or another female relative. Over half of the population in Kyrgyzstan is under the age of 30 years old. It's also customary for male colleagues to shake hands every day, regardless of whether you saw them yesterday or not. Laos consumes more sticky rice than any other country in the world. Rice and coffee are Laos's biggest agricultural exports. About 10% of Latvia is bog, and more than half of the country is covered in forest. The Latvian flag is also one of the oldest in the world. Lebanon is home to the world's first law school, and the country is primarily trilingual, as the majority of citizens speak Arabic, French, and English, which are all widespread. It's also the only country in the Middle East that lacks a desert. Lesotho is the only country on Earth that exists entirely above 1,000 meters, or 3,281 feet. It's also the 137th biggest country, making it slightly smaller than Belgium and just a little bit longer than Albania. Liberia is a West African nation home to some pretty impressive surf spots. Monrovia, the capital city of Liberia, was actually named after the 5th President of the United States, James Monroe. The population density of Libya is 3.6 people per kilometer square. 86% of the population of this country lives in urban areas. Liechtenstein is Europe's 4th smallest country and the world's 6th smallest country. It also has no airport, so you either have to travel from Switzerland or from Austria. The national sport of Lithuania is basketball. The country is also the 13th tallest nation in the world. As we record today, Luxembourg is currently the second richest nation on Earth. The country's usually in the top three, and approximately 50% of the population of Luxembourg is a non-nationalized citizen, so they are foreigners. Macau is an autonomous region on the south coast of China. We will give you facts about it for the sake of the list. More, not less here. So it was a former Portuguese colony, and due to its gambling industry, has become dubbed as the Las Vegas of China. Madagascar is not just the Disney movie, it's also the world's fourth largest island, home to 70 species of lemurs not found anywhere else on Earth, as well as 50% of the world's chameleon population. Before 2017, the legal age to marry was 15 years old. It has since changed to 18. Tobacco is one of the country's biggest exports, but notably Malawi was the first country outside of Denmark to have a factory for brewing Carlsberg beer. Malaysia follows a unique rotating monarchy system in which 9 ethnic Malay state rulers take turns being king for a term of 5 years. Malaysia also has 65,877 kilometers of highway roads, which is greater than the 40,075 circumference of the Earth. Besides being an influencer's paradise, Maldives is also known for being the flattest country on Earth. Interestingly, the weekend in the Maldives is Friday and Saturday as opposed to Saturday and Sunday, which most of us are used to. The world's 24th largest country is Africa's 8th largest country, Mali. Almost half of the population lives below the international poverty line, with the average annual salary being $1,500 a year. There are 3 times more tourists than there are residents in Malta. The country's located just 60 miles from Sicily. The Marshall Islands consists of 29 atolls and 5 individual islands, totaling about 1,225 islands, scattered over 750,000 square miles of the Central Pacific. The Marshall Islands consists of 29 atolls and 5 individual islands, totaling about 1,225 islands, scattered over 750,000 square miles of the Central Pacific. It has a tropical climate with a mean annual temperature for the entire group of islands being about 82 degrees Fahrenheit, or 28 degrees Celsius. Mauritania is on the Atlantic coast of Africa. Almost all Mauritanians identify as Sunni Muslim, half of which live in and around urban areas. The island of Mauritius itself is a volcano, but the Republic of Mauritius comprises of multiple islands as well as disputed territories. The main island is just 45 kilometers wide and 65 kilometers long. 3 nations have colonized Mauritius over the years: the Netherlands, France, and Great Britain, although the country has been independent since 1968. The busiest land border crossing in the world is between the US and the next M country, Mexico. Mexico is also the world's largest Spanish-speaking country, but more interestingly, Mexico City is shrinking at a yearly rate of around 6 to 8 inches. Micronesia is one of the 21 to 23 countries in the world that does not have a standing army. It is also one of the least visited countries in the world, with around 30,000 tourists visiting annually. Moldova is the least visited country in Europe. It's usually number 1 or number 2 least visited country on the continent, probably having to do with its location as it is squeezed between Romania and Ukraine. The world's largest wine cellar is also in Moldova. Monaco is another country without an army or an air force. They are France's responsibility. Casino de Monte Cristo in Monaco was opened in 1863, and 3 James Bond films have been shot there. Mongolia is the second largest landlocked country in the world. This country also has more horses than people, as horses play an important role in the culture. The country of Montenegro's main source of income is from tourism. It's also one of Europe's newest nations, as Montenegro declared independence from Serbia and became a sovereign state. Morocco has more mobile phone subscriptions than people in the country. It's also one of the 3 countries that can also say they have both Atlantic and Mediterranean coastlines, the other 2 being Spain and France. Mozambique is the only one-word country that includes all 5 vowels in its name. Maputo, the capital of Mozambique, is known as the city of acacias, referring to the acacia trees commonly found along its avenues. Roughly 135 ethnic groups make up the people of Myanmar, and it's ranked 75 most culturally and ethnically diverse country in the world. Roughly 135 ethnic groups make up the people of Myanmar, and it's ranked 75th most culturally and ethnically diverse country in the world. Namibia is home to the world's oldest desert, the Namib. The country also has some of the highest sand dunes in the world, one of which has been dubbed Big Daddy, and it stands at 325 meters tall. Nauru's the world's smallest island nation, and it has no official capital city, but government offices are located in the district of Yaren. Nepal is home to the highest mountains on Earth, one of which being Mount Everest, but it is also home to one of the deepest canyons in the world, the Kaligandi Canyon. It has a depth of 4,375 meters. Amsterdam is the capital city of the Netherlands and often referred to as Venice of the North. Added up together, the country has 165 canals that span over 60 miles and 100 kilometers long. Statistically, the Dutch are amongst the tallest people not only in Europe, but in the world. New Caledonia is located about 1,070 miles or 1,722 kilometers northeast of Sydney, Australia. The island itself is about half the size of Taiwan, with a land area of 18,575.5 square kilometers or 7,171 square miles. In New Zealand, there are 5 sheep for every person. There are no land snakes in New Zealand. You will, however, find marine snakes or sea snakes regularly. Nicaragua is another country with some famous surf spots, including San Juan del Sur and Popoyo. The country is home to one of the biggest islands on a lake in Ometepe Island. Niger takes its name from the Niger River, which flows through the southeastern part of its territory. The country extends 750 miles, 1,200 kilometers, from north to south, and 930 miles, or 1,460 kilometers, from east to west. Nigeria and Niger are not the same country, but they are both located in Africa. Lagos is the biggest city of Nigeria, but not the capital. In 1991, the capital was changed to Abuja. Interestingly, the country has one of the largest abundance and diversity of butterflies in Africa. In 2019, after 30 years of disputing the name with Greece, the country officially changed its name from Macedonia to North Macedonia. The country is also home to Ohrid Lake, the oldest and one of the deepest lakes in Europe at 288 meters. The Northern Mariana Islands are a chain or archipelago of 14 islands in the Pacific Ocean. The oceans surrounding the Northern Mariana Islands have more than 60 underwater volcanoes. Norway is a great spot for the aurora borealis. It's also illegal to advertise to children in Norway. Well, children under 12 years old. Oman is the oldest independent state in the Arab world. Mountain Dew has a monopoly in the soda market in Oman, and you can find it sold in most stores. What you won't find are many Coke products. Pakistan has the 4th largest irrigation system in the Indus Basin and the world's 2nd largest salt mines. The total area of Palau is 189 square miles or 489 square kilometers. That's slightly larger than Rutland, a county in East Midlands, UK. Yet the population is a bit over 18,000 citizens, which is significantly less than Rutland. Panama is the southernmost of the 7 countries that make up Central America. The country is also transcontinental, meaning that it has land on 2 continents. The western part is in North America, while the eastern part is in the South American continent. Papua New Guinea is located on the eastern half of the island of New Guinea, which is the 2nd largest island in the world after Greenland. The country gained its independence as recently as 1975. About 75 to 80% of Paraguayans are mestizos, or people of mixed Spanish and Native American ancestry. The country is landlocked, but despite lacking a coastline, it has the largest navy of any landlocked country. Peru is home to Lake Titicaca, a lake set high in the Andes at 12,570 feet above sea level, straddling the border between Peru and Bolivia. It's also home to another significant place, Machu Picchu, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world. In the Philippines, a popular street food is fertilized duck embryo, known locally as balut. Keeping on the subject of food, the country is also the world's number 2 producer and exporter of coconuts. Poland is also home to the world's biggest castle, Malbork Castle. The country also has the 2nd oldest constitution in the world, following the United States. Portugal decriminalized the public and private use, acquisition, and possession of all drugs in 2001. Contrary to popular belief, the delicately fried goodness, that is tempura, was actually introduced by the Portuguese in Nagasaki. More than half of Qatar's population is foreign-born. After the Maldives, Qatar is the second flattest country on Earth. Romania has more than 60% of the brown bear population in Europe. The Romanian language is the only Latin language spoken in Eastern Europe. Russia spans 2 continents, Europe and Asia. It's also the biggest country in the world. Rwanda is home to some of the world's last remaining mountain gorillas. Besides this, the country is also known for its strong coffee culture, as it's one of Africa's leading producers of coffee. Samoa is right next to the international date line. That means that if you fly to Samoa 30 minutes away, you will actually go back in time 24 hours. San Marino is about 24 square miles, or the 3rd smallest country in Europe, after the Vatican City and Monaco. The nation of San Marino is landlocked by only one country on all sides, Italy. Sao Tome and Principe is an island country located on the equator and consists of 2 main islands, Sao Tome, the oval shape and the largest island, and Principe is about 90 miles away. Almost 3/4 of the population here reside in urban areas. Saudi Arabia, despite being mostly desert, has to buy sand from abroad. This is because the desert sand is not suitable for activities such as glassmaking and construction. About 30% of Saudi Arabia's population is made up of immigrants. The capital city of Dakar hosts just under 30% of Senegal's population. It's also home to Lake Retba, which is a cloudy pink lake thanks to its high salt content. There's a river in Serbia called Yir, and it was named that because it is 365 meters long. In 1992, Serbia joined forces with Montenegro as a union, but they became independent again in 2006. Seychelles' capital city of Victoria is made up of just 24 streets and only has 2 sets of traffic lights. The country is also home to the world's largest population of giant tortoises at Aldabra Atoll. Sierra Leone is one of the 27 countries that doesn't have a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There you can find mining centers specifically for diamonds, gold, and other minerals. Singapore held the world's first Formula One night race back in 2008 at the Marina Bay Street Circuit. After being previously ranked number 1, the Changi Airport in Singapore ranked 3rd best airport in the world in 2022. Slovakia is officially known as the Slovak Republic. The country has the highest number of cables and chateaus per capita, and this is remarkable considering that it is only half the size of New York State. Approximately 1 in 200 people living in Slovenia are beekeepers. Considering that there are only 2.1 million inhabitants, this is a large amount of beekeepers. Daylight savings time is not observed on the Solomon Islands. They remain on Solomon Island time, which is UTC plus 11. The country has almost 1,000 islands, but only 1/3 of them are inhabited. More than half of the Somalian residents are self-employed. They're farmers, herders, and independent business owners. Over 73% of Somalis live on less than $2 per day. Due to lack of time, this is where we're going to stop part 2 of 2 facts about every single country on Earth. Stay tuned for part 3, which will be out later this week, and thank you for watching Terra Firma Factoids.